Welcome to the Bleep Bulimia podcast with guest Andrea Lukac, psychological counselor. Hi, everyone. I am Lorianne. I am the host of Bleep Bulimia. And today, my guest is Andrea Lukac, and she is a psychological counselor, NLP trainer, and hypnosis coach. Welcome to my show.
Yes, welcome everybody who is listening to us today because we are going to bring some great information to you.
Beautiful. So I always like to ask the first question, what inspired you to become a psychological coach?
So I, for myself, I'm speaking a lot about healthy boundaries and to come into one's power. So it was a topic I was lacking. And on the way, I found out how limiting beliefs are controlling our lives and the gap of what is possible and what most of people are living out is so huge that I really need to inspire others to make some changes for the better in their lives.
That's beautiful. And I know that one thing I was saying to you earlier was why I was really interested in having you on the show is because I liked about the letting go. I know you say of the past, but letting go in general, acceptance and love, which, in the state of being bulimic, that's something very difficult to do, which is why the eating disorder for some of us occurs. So I'm really interested in finding a little bit more about how you go about doing that.
Yes, first of all, to understand that we came to this world like an unfilled bottle, and it was filled by things we heard and saw when we were children, by experiences, by conditioning. And when we are open enough from this bottle, things we don't need and are not serving us can go and new stuff can come in. And just to understand that it came from somewhere we are probably not even aware of, and it is running our lives.
Yeah, and so do you have a particular process that you use to help your clients?
Yes, first of all, awareness, to become aware of what really is and where a person really is standing at a point, and to be honest here to oneself and be one's best observer, to observe in a situation, how am I feeling? What are my thoughts to it? If I suffer in communication, to have a greater look on what was said and what have I interpreted out of it. Um, that will be the first big step.
Yeah, I think communication is very big. I think that I know in my case, it was to be able to fear of conflict, right? So being able to speak what I really thought, and then you internalize things. I'm getting better at it. People around me can tell you that, but uh, it would sometimes even, bottle up and then explode, which was horrible because then when it explodes, then you're all embarrassed about all the things you did say. So do you have clients like that where they hold back their communication, where they have to be able to be more open?
Yes, to give that feeling behind it some space, and if you don't want to cry to another person, we can get this feeling out of the body. To try out with movement would help to release this feeling out of the body. If we can shake it off, if it's anger, or we can go into the woods and scream where no one is here, just to get it out, and so that more ease can come into our body.
Now, when you say movement, I would think that you're not necessarily like it doesn't always mean, rigid exercise or anything, right? Like I like the
No,
thought
just
if you can expand on the
uh,
movement.
even some shake offs, or if you want to fight with the air, will be enough to get it out. So we
That's
don't
lovely.
have to go out of the room where we are in.
So, in regards to acceptance, I mean, how difficult is that when you're working with your clients to get them to that point of acceptance of self and love?
For some, it's not an easy step because they were not used doing it for a long time.
Mhm. And with them, so in that process, so when you're working with somebody, I'm just getting an idea. So is it usually like long term that you work with them? Or do you have certain
So
programs that you offer? Just
yeah, so if a person is open enough, it goes quite quick because we go to the root cause and change it. And I suggest everyone to take the time they need, not to get anxious or so.
yeah. Yeah, because being aware, that's really difficult for some people. And even to find out, like maybe they are aware, but they're really not aware, right? Subconsciously, I would imagine. Like you do
Mm,
hypnosis as well. Do you use that while you're working with the clients?
no, so it comes as a wish from a client to use that tool.
Yeah. And how, when you have used it, how effective is it?
So the only point a person has is to just follow my words and be open to it. And it's not a huge task if someone wants it. And the subconscious is much bigger than the conscious, and we want to bypass the conscious and to implement some new ideas into the subconscious. And sometimes the change is not seen at the moment, but when a person's look back, they see that a behavior changed, although they didn't even recognize it. So that's the
That's
part I'm loving
fascinating.
about it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's true, right? Changes don't happen overnight, definitely. But that process is really exciting. Your clients must be excited when they do finally see, going, wow, like I feel that. Uh, what are there any particular situations that you find that you're working with the most of people who are struggling with their self-awareness, or is it just really overall general different situations?
It's a different situation for everyone, because I believe that every person has its own biography which has impacted upon him or her. So I don't like these general sentences, because life is very individual. Not everyone
Yeah.
has felt the same emotions. Not everyone has had the same experiences, not the same knowledge. So
Yeah. Because why I was saying that is that we were talking about, there's some people who grow up and they have very traumatic childhood. Um, I had a really good one, and yet I still struggled with my self-confidence. So again, like you're saying, there's different stories. So it doesn't always come from a traumatic childhood. It's coming from, I think, really what you're saying, communication and how we perceive what somebody's telling us, how we take it in, and how we process it. So if we feel that somebody's saying something they don't mean to be mean about, but we take it personally, right? And the more that we do that, the more we bring ourselves down and our self-confidence goes down with it. So I would imagine you would help somebody process that, how to properly process the intake of what somebody says.
So from my point of view, so I had a lack in self-confidence as well, and hypnosis was that tool which helped me to get into the self-confidence, which is the first step, because if we are not self-confident, we likely will not take any action. And if we don't take a proper action, we will end up thinking over a thing over and over again. And this is very time consuming and very energy draining.
Yes, overthinking. Yes, it's something that a lot of us do. I even said that to my son once said to me, goes, he was saying something. I said, you overthink. And he goes, yes. I said, I do too. He goes, thanks, mom. So he is joking around about it coming from me. He inherited it from me, but there's so many people out there that are doing that. Yeah. And the sad thing is when you're overthinking, you make a condition worse than it actually is,
Yeah,
right?
and you are not going towards your desired goal or vision or however we want to name it.
So that's great. So yeah, it's self-confidence is a really, or self-esteem too, being two different things. Low self-esteem, low self-confidence. And when you've got a combination of the two, um, they're very difficult to overcome. And particularly if it started as a child. Funny thing is, my mother says, I never struggled with self-confidence issues. I'm going, I know. But so she doesn't really understand it, which is
Yes,
interesting.
as she hadn't had this experience
Yeah,
and not this belief, because there's a core belief behind it, and we should catch this belief and change it into a more empowering one.
I love it. I love it. So it is doable. You can come out of being low self-confidence, low self-esteem to a much stronger person, which, really looking into self being the first thing, right? Not what other people think of you.
Yes.
So what do you have um anything that you'd like to say to our listeners in regards to the work you do, a story to tell?
Yes, changes can happen very quickly and fast if one is open enough for change. So if we choose to be stubborn and hold on to old beliefs which drained us, so the way will not be open enough for us to change.
That's
And
true.
I wish for everyone to be their best observer. And um, if you're struggling, I would recommend to take a coach and work this out, because you are saving a lot of time and energy. Because if a solution would be where we are looking at, chances would be that we already would have the right answer.
That's beautiful. And so for our listeners, where would we be able to find you, Andrea?
I'm located in Austria, and for the moment I'm available via email, which will be andrealukac.coaching@gmail.com.
Perfect. And I will be putting that in the notes for our listeners. And if the listeners out there, if you have any questions, please contact Andrea and let her know. And as I said, this forum here is really to give alternatives to those particularly struggling with bulimia, in order for them to be able to succeed, because not everybody matches everybody, right? So different personalities will match better than others. So this is where they have the opportunity to listen to people like you, Andrea, and be able to say, you know what, I really like what she's saying. I'm going to contact her. She sounds like the person who can help me. So I really appreciate you being on the show today. And all the way from Austria, that is so cool.
Yes, it was a pleasure being with you.
Oh, that's great. All right. And listeners, again, the contact will be in the notes below. So please do contact Andrea if you feel that this is something that you're interested to help you in finding self-confidence. And again, thank you so much for being my guest today.
You're welcome.